Disney's dismal performance at the box office has really screwed a lot of things up, especially when it comes to things like Marvel's grand plan outlined by Kevin Feige, which included some very poor shows from Disney Plus and some very terrible films from, well, the Marvel brand in general, especially Phase Bore into Phase Dive. This has really not been the best couple of years for the Marvel box office anyway. Recently, because of the failure of, well, Quantum Mania and the Marvels, things are being scrapped, or supposedly they're being scrapped based on a new rumor that we just received. Let's take a look real quick. As you can see here, rumor, planned Photon series starring Teyonah Parris scrapped after the Marvels box office failure. Well, we knew some things were being scrapped. That had been, basically said in public, and that they were rethinking their strategy when it came to Disney Plus. Well, if you've noticed, they've really rethought it because you haven't seen a lot of new things there. And when they let Echo go, which they knew was going to be a failure, they released it all at once. Now, The Marvels was such a disaster that they really can't justify making anything else around it or connected to it in any possible way, which I can't blame them. This would be a fool's errand and good money after bad. So it's not surprising that if this rumor is 100% accurate, which I have no reason to doubt, especially since it's coming from That Park Place and from John F. Trent, I kind of consider this to be, in line with our expectations. Although there's a little bit of hedging when you say the word rumor, but if you look at it, it makes sense. A planned series starring Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, a.k.a. Photon, was scrapped by Marvel Studios following the box office failure of the Marvels. Well, we're repeating ourselves, but it's fine. Daniel R.P.K., who's about 50-50 as far as I'm concerned, reports via Comics Talk 616 on X that a series centered around Monica Rambeau was reportedly in the works at Marvel Studios, which many of us had heard. I mean, that's not something new, so there's that. But basically said, following the Marvel's reception, it was axed. Her story will now continue in another project. So I guess they're going to cobble some other things together for story elements and try to put it all in one. I don't know why. I don't know that anybody wants this. Nobody really wanted the Marvels, but we'll continue. Yeah. So according to the numbers, the film only grossed $199.7 million in its entire run. It only grossed $84.5 million domestically. Wow. And another $115.2 internationally. Domestically, the film only sold 7.8 million tickets. It is the worst performing film in Marvel Cinematic Universe history. That's impressive. The previous worst performing film was 2008's The Incredible Hulk, which grossed $265.5 million, and that's without factoring in inflation. If you do, that number gets much, much bigger. And I'm certain, because of inflation, it sold a lot more tickets, so a lot more butts in the seats way back when. So due to the film's poor box office performance, Marvel Studios and its parent company, the Walt Disney Company, because, hey, it's all dismal Disney, threw in the towel on the movie after its fourth weekend at the box office. And I remember that, saying, we're not going to get into this. So, according to Variety, the company sent a memo detailing with the Marvel's box office now winding down, we will stop weekend reporting of international global grosses on this title. I betcha. Yeah. I don't know. Come on now. Don't you like those three heroes? Aren't they great? Miss Marvel? To be fair, Amon Villani was probably the best thing in this film. But anyway. Box Office Analyst OMB Reviews. Hey, Odin. What's up, buddy? Noted back in December, the film would likely lose Marvel and Walt Disney Studios upwards of $200 million. I actually think I put it at $250, but just me. He said, it's getting close to $200 million worldwide, so hey, it still has a chance of crossing $200 million. It's still going to be a 200 million plus flop by the end of the day, though. Yeah, he was right. He really was. Based on reporting by Carolyn Reed at Forbes, the film had a massive production budget, $274 million as of September 2022. Reed noted Marvel Studios did receive a $55 million tax credit that brought the film's net budget down to $219.8 million. However, there's some other numbers that weren't added into this. So the production did not include any of the production expenses in 2023 and did not include the post-production expenses either. Reed explained that the film's budget is expected to soar in the next set of financial statements as almost a year of post-production and extensive reshoots took place after the latest financial statements were filed. Company's House is going to give us all those things. So if the film's total cost came to around $300 million, which is highly likely, the movie will lose the Walt Disney Company not just $200 million, but upwards of $200 million. Like I said $250 million loss. I think I'm going to be safe there. At the $300 million production budget, the break-even for the movie is somewhere around $750 million when you factor in the cut that theaters take from the box office grosses, as well as Disney's advertising spend for the movie. What if I suggested that this was one of those films that they marketed multiple times in multiple ways and spent probably more than the norm on their marketing expenses? Yeah. So Disney CEO Bob Iger blamed the global crisis and lack of executive oversight on the film's failure during an interview at the New York Times Book Deal Summit in 2023. You remember that? I do. Disingenuous, Bob. Said, well, The Marvels was shot during the global crisis. Not really, but okay. There wasn't as much supervision on the set, so to speak, where we have executives there really looking over what's being done day after day after day. And that was a result mostly of the global crisis, once again. But at the same time, we increased our output tremendously to feed the streaming platforms. Too much, by the way. Definite mistake. Well, at least you can admit that, because you made a bunch of them, buddy. Especially since your return. Just you wear a bucket of mistakes every day, bro. Anyway. Quality needs attention to deliver quality. Quality needs attention to deliver quality. It doesn't happen by accident, and quantity, in our case, diluted quality. And Marvel suffered greatly from that. So there are different reasons, and I've been very public about it, and I would say right now, my number one priority is to help the studio turn around creatively. All evidence to the contrary, bro. This was from the end of last year, and you're still in this giant hole. Huge hole. Of course, Iger then hedged. Now, let's also put it in perspective. We set the bar so high year after year after year, we had the best performance in the business probably for a decade. And I'm not sure another studio will ever achieve some of the numbers that we achieved. We got to the point where a film didn't do $1 billion in the global box office. We were disappointed. Well, yeah, you set that bar pretty high and you expected yourself and everybody else expected you to maintain it. He's like, that's an unbelievable high standard and we've got to be more realistic. Well, yeah, you've priced yourself out of the market and you've got talent that's priced themselves out too. So I like that they have a link to Odin's video right there. That's awesome. Regardless, this story is right on point. I have a feeling that not only will we not see Photon in the way that they were supposed to do at the end of the silly movie, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of the Marvels anytime soon. And if we do, it's going to be as like backup characters, because I think Disney may have finally realized that nobody was asking for this. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think that the Photon series was really something that they were going to go and get done? Do you think there's any chance that something like that happens again? Do you think that they're pulling the plug on most of the Marvel things because they just don't realize any gain from them and they're far too expensive to like lead to profitability in any way? Do you think that Disney's trying to rethink whether or not they want to lean this far into streaming? Do you think that Iger may now be realizing just how screwed up everything is once he started to do that. There's a lot of questions there. But do you think we'll ever see $1 billion out of a Marvel film? I think that's the most important question. I don't know. Based on the last couple of videos I've done around Dismal Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and all their recent errors, I think that's a big question. Anyway. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and before you leave, hit that like button. Oh, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 25K and I would appreciate it. Until next time, see ya.